Hi all, welcome to another Team Bubba podcast. My name's Stevie, and in this video I'm going to talk about Kim Goguen and her associates, part 2B. We had to split this into two parts because there was just so much information in there. In the last one, just to summarise, we covered Michael Bagley, Anna von Reitz, Thomas John Melville, and the connections to a new guy, Douglas Craig Melvin, and Blackwater. Now this one I thought would be a quick one, but I wanted to double check over the information I've got, and as I did, it started to reveal more. So hopefully I won't keep you too long. And if you've got any questions, please put them in the comments, like and subscribe. We'd really appreciate that. So first of all, is Thomas John Melville, as we covered in the previous video, and Leo Wanta. So who is he? Well, Leo Wanta was his real name. He's got an alias of Leo Wanta that's being used in most alt media based videos. So he was born in Wisconsin in June 11th, 1940. After looking at some details and information, he claims to have been an ex-police sheriff in his local town. He was also volunteered to be a fireman, and he has a degree in engineering, which, looking at what he has done in my investigation, there doesn't seem to be much information there about having a degree or a doctorate in economics or finance. But as we go along, you'll start to see it all unravel. So he claimed to have also a photographic memory. So he said he used to, he'll go to Russia and he'd see someone straight away who knows who that person is, his name. And it could be, if he only has to meet someone once and someone to say who that person is. He was ambassador of Somalia to the United States. He claimed to have worked under President Regan as a secret agent, but not your typical kind of CIA agent. He acted as a civilian, and he said he had a task from President Regan to go out and do a job, which was working in Soviet Union and to ruffle a few feathers over there. But there's not much information or proof, or it's hard to, to confirm any of this. So he had a bit of a nickname. He was called the $27 million man. But we don't know if that's true or not. He made trillions destabilizing the Russian economy in the 1990s. And this was supposed to lead to ending the Cold War. And he believed that this was an order from Reagan. He was given money. He was given personnel to help him set this up. And he met a lot of bad guys. And of course, if this truly did happen, it caused the 1992 financial crisis, which led to a lot of people losing their homes, poverty, especially in Russia, where a lot of them already had very little money. And it's believed that the money was stolen by the Bush and Clinton families. And his so-called $27 million is stuck in a trust somewhere. Now, we've heard this before from, I don't need to repeat who goes around saying everyone they've got trillions, probably a lot more in a trust, but they can't release the money. So he basically thinks that this 27 trillion that he's got it's stuck in a trust somewhere. He hasn't got access to it. And ever since he'd come back from this task from Reagan, he's had nothing but death threats. He's definitely been imprisoned at least twice. He was arrested in Switzerland, and I think he was accused of murder. And when he was extradited from Switzerland while he was ambassador of Somalia. When he basically touched down in the US, he was arrested again and sentenced, I believe, was somewhat ridiculous, like 26 years for tax evasion. And but he claimed that he was going to use the 23 trillion to help the American people. But he said that 4 trillion of that was for himself. So, what's he want 4 trillion for? But it sounds like another savior program, doesn't it? And a fairy tale, which it's not possible to prove. So there was an operation called Still Point, which seems to have his name attached to it quite a lot. Now, I won't go into it too much, but I'm sure that you can research, just look it up. What is Operation Still Point? It was basically some crooks that wanted to take down the United States. They wanted to crash the economy and steal all the money. So it was a secret offensive against the United States and its people, directed from within. So we were looking at George Bush Sr. and Henry Kissinger and Alan Greenspan. And it says in here that he was also, Leo Wanta was a participant in that. But it was stopped in 2009. I don't know why, but it's probably something we need to dig into a little bit more. So let's see if we can open this link. If this is worth looking at. Okay, so this is a website where I got some of the information from. There's Christopher's story, which I'll go into in a moment. And this was about Operation Still Point to take down the United States. It was halted. It's definitely worth a read if you want to have a look at that. It just tells you what they wanted to do, maximizing the potential. Basically, they wanted to accumulate trillions of fiat dollars, which means such financial sorcery, both for for personal and self-enrichment. So it was a 5-step plan to destabilize America, and they wanted to take everything. There was a lot of people involved in that. It's probably, I'll leave the links, definitely leave links in the description field. So there's Leo in his senior years. So he was born in 1940, and he's still going. He's still doing his bit. He wants his trillions. So let's have a little look into his LinkedIn. So as you can see there, Ambassador, Central Bank Chairman of Principality of Snake Hill. We'll go into that a little bit in a second. Now, you're probably wondering, what's this got to do with Thomas J. Melville? Well, they're both the governors. Well, you've got the chairman of Central Bank of Snake Hill, and you've also got, this is from Thomas J. Melville's LinkedIn. Now, this is the latest bit in here. He said he was part of governors of the central bank from 2007 to 2012. Now, we captured his LinkedIn a while back, and we've got copies of it. When we've had a look before, that didn't sound right, but apparently he's changed it. So he would have been 12 years. So he's changed it for some reason, and maybe that will come up at a later time. And again, here is Thomas J. Melville promoting Ambassador Leo Wanta's book, Eagle One, and he's telling you must-see video. Now, when was this? March 2016. So it's another date we need to look over, keep hold of. Now, I mentioned Christopher Story. Now, this guy, Christopher Story, was a former occasional advisor to Prime Minister Lady Thatcher, and he's also got 35 years in specialist intelligence and financial publishing, and he's also been involved with US congressional committees and international affairs. He's basically knows what he's talking about, and he's got plenty of sources. So during his time, as he's also been an editor, and he's also been publishing articles in magazines, and it went on for a long time. And he was researching the government and corruption of publishing. Basically, published them on his own website, because I think he got to a point where magazines weren't allowing him to put information that he was beginning to surface. So he died in July 2010. Not long after, they took down his website. However, with the web archive that most people have access to, Wayback Machine, those that had been following him decided that it'd be quite good to rebuild that website, and they made it into an archive as it's a nice touch for someone that had spent most of his life looking into fraud and terrorism. So let's have a little look at this archive, and especially Snake Hill. And he's got a lot of information on. I mean, you could have a look at this archive, but the kind of things he was looking into, as you can see on the right hand side, you're looking at all different types of characters. We all know who they are, and all different countries. You've got fraud, George Bush Jr. come into him, a bit Gordon Brown, MI6. He's covered so much information here. And like I say, this is an archive of information. So let's have a little look. Thomas Melville. So there's a couple of snippets I found with his name in here. And he was talking at the top here, saying that the American ambassador to the fake virtual Principality of Snake Hill, and the fact that they'd actually changed the name, was a Principality of New Wales. And the chairman of the fake Central Bank of Snake Hill is listed in Leo Wanta as Leo Wanta, while the fake consul general is Thomas Melville. Now you might think it might not be the same Thomas Melville. Well, you will later on find out, but it's definitely worth a read if you have got time. And his name's mentioned here again. We know because both Wanta and Melville, we know this is a scamming operation, was intended to facilitate gigantic theft, and we're talking about Melville again there. So that's just one section on that page, and hopefully I can find the other one where it mentions him. So this was a letter to George Bush, and it's got Thomas Melville's name in there, in this letter. So he was definitely very close as part of this operation with Leo Wanta. You can do a search for all different names in this website. It's massive. So let's say there's a couple of snippets. This is it. I've not received an answer back concerning the question posed to Mr. Thomas J. Melville. Junior always contact JB at the Treasury Compliance Department, New York. So Thomas J. Melville, it looks like around this time, had a few jobs, a few roles, and one of them he worked for the US Treasury and Compliance Department. And there's a bit here just telling a little bit more about the deception. The purpose of this Wanta Henry Principality of Snake Hill deception. The original purpose of the Snake Hill deception was to establish a virtual entity with the virtual central bank that could be used by Wanta on CIA Bush Senior's instructions to alienate 4.5 trillion to Australia, so that the CIA and Bush Senior could get their hands on the money. And this is so you can dig up this as much as you want. So yeah, and there's a little bit more about the okay, so we'll read this bit here. We know that micronations are promoted through the United Nations and that the passports for the Principality of Snake Hill have been issued. We understand that anyone entering Australia on a Snake Hill passport will be at the very least be detained and required to obtain Australian visa or be deported. Now, as I started to dig further, I thought, well, what did he do? How did he get all this money if he's so cool, got 27 trillion? Well, there was someone called Claire Sterling, who's an American correspondent. She was based in Italy. She reported on in the Middle East, Africa, South Asia affairs. Excuse me. And she reported many articles into the New York Times, magazines, Reader's Digest, Harper's, you name it. So she's quite acknowledged, and she's the author of the Terror Network, which was published in 22 countries. Now, one of the chapters in her book was called The Great Rouble Scam, which I'll go into that, and just to show that it really did. It was in one of her books. I'll open up. I don't want to open up. Great. So we can click. I can go back to that one a bit. So the Great Rouble Scam. Now I've done a screenshot here because some people don't like to click on links, but you can have a little read in that, and it will be in the document, so you can look at it at another time if you want. So this website here, which is the Prison Planet Intelligence Agency Wiki, it's massive. It's got a lot of information in here, and you can have a look for yourself if you want to look at what people have found, some data. It links right from 9/11 right through to scamming, right up to current date. It is well worth looking into it. I'll show you what we found in here. Okay, so the content someone's put together, which is a snippet from her from the chapter of her book. So we're talking about the Rouble scam. So the Rouble scam later expanded to the Sterling's 1994 book, Thieves of World. Sterling described the criminal penetration of former Soviet Union by drug cartels and money launderers during 1990 and 1991. There's a summary of what they did to some of the techniques they did to destabilize governments and also to embezzle money, even from like oil right through to stealing money. And they said here they've got food shortages he created. What they try and do is try and destabilize the area by causing food shortages to wreck the economy, and then they basically take the devalue the ruble, get them at a very cheap price, and then sell them on. Now, I won't go into some of these, but these are the three of some of the scammers that she's mentioned. Of course, Leo Wanta pops up. So Leo, so she put Wanta for some reason, but who, when asked for credentials, so if you tend to have a tendency, if you asked for proof of who you are, he'd have an autographed picture of President Regan. And Wanta claimed to represent the New Republic Financial Group, an Austrian company with declared capital of 5,000 shillings, which is $17,000, but supposedly capable of paying $5 billion for 140 billion rubles to rise to 50 billion, which is 300 billion rubles. The deal fell through when the United States Department warned Russia that Wanta was wanted in Wisconsin for credit card fraud. Sterling describes the US Secret Service file on Wanta as a mile long. So he was involved with this with another chap called Kim Goguen, professional con man from Britain, which if you look down the bottom here, so it was later alleged that Goguen was KGB spy. So who we're talking about here? We're getting, people that are mixed up with Leo Wanta. He's getting into bed with some not so nice people. Now, you can look for all these individuals as well, but they all seem to be pointing back to Wanta. Theft of there was theft of 20,000 tons of stolen Russian gold. Again, where's that gone? Associated companies, company of Leo Wanta, company of Kim Goguen. You've got there's another one in here somewhere. Can't find it, but it's another one's Leo Wanta's one. So let's look at the, scroll down here, stolen gold. So we've got also, let's have a look at this. So now we're pointing to other branded names that people know of. Robert Maxwell, British MI5, hired by Gorbachev to invite Western capital, that died in 1991. Kevin Maxwell and Ian, these are the sons. So they were involved. So they're very, especially what's going on at the moment with the Maxwell families, they were seriously mixed up. Alfred Hartmann, former CFO of BCCI, Swiss head of Rothschilds. So it just makes you wonder. This guy he's getting into bed with these people that seem to be criminals and cabal or agents, secret agents. So let's go back. So this is what Claire Sterling dug up and through her sources that she found. Here's an email that was discovered where Wanta, and it does mention Thomas J. Melville in it, attempted to purchase Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae, also Bear Stearns, which during the time of this email, 2008, which was around the time of the 2008 subprime mortgage crisis. So this email, which I'll show you, they're trying to purchase some of the biggest mortgage companies, banks in America. With what? What's he got? He hasn't got any money. But you look at this, is unbelievable. So as you can see here, he's sending it to Honourable George Bush Jr. And Dick Cheney. He's got lots of names in here. Look, Lady Laura Bush. And as we scroll down, you can see that he's talking about purchasing Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae for 4 point, and he's confirming he's got 4.5 trillion, but he wants to purchase this company. Not just that, during the mortgage crisis as well. As we know later on that Fannie Mae was actually bailed out by the Treasury, US Treasury, and taken over. But as you look in this next bit here, this is like receipt closing acceptance economic. What have we got here? Thomas J. Melville, and there's Leo Wanta, but also you'll see here Snake Hill Principality, Her Royal Highness Princess Paula. Now, if you look into the Snake Hill Principality of Snake Hill, there's a bit of a story where this family was they seemed to think there was some kind of fraud going on with the bank, and they couldn't afford to pay the tax on it. And it turns out that their mortgage, they wanted to auction off the property, and anyway, the owners said, no, we're not going to do it. But somehow they got into this principality, micronation, which had already happened. It's basically, there's a lot of these attempts of micronations throughout Australia, and the story is that they claimed independence. They've sent emails and letters to United Nations and to Queen Elizabeth in London, and they seem to think that they'd actually got their independence, and they haven't. And then there was the case for the central bank. Now, most people would think, okay, you got your own micronation, well, you at least have a website. They did have a website. It's been taken down. It's a real cheapy kind of website that maybe someone maybe in the early high school could create. It was absolutely pathetic. They claimed to have had their own currency. It was just some kind of a fake thing where they wanted to, push through money, stolen money, on behalf of the Bush administration, apparently. So it really is worth, again, I'll put the link in the description, and eventually we will have all this information up on our website once we finish the series. But yeah, I've just highlighted there for people that don't want to open up the link. Again, who was copied in, BCC'd in that email. I'm going to be playing an audio file where Thomas Williams from Truth, Honor, Integrity, who used to be Kim Goguen''s assistant or lieutenant, you want to call, but he said he was a spokesperson for Kim, and he's mentioning Leo Wanta and Thomas Melville, and in this there seems to be where Leo's upset Kim, and of course Thomas is defending her. So I'll play that now for you.
As for Mr. Melville, he had the privilege to see all of the knowledge firsthand, and when he figured it all out, he called Mr. Wanta to tell him what happened. Not as an employee of the US Treasury, nor the Department of Treasury, but as a patriotic citizen. Ms. Goguen didn't steal anything, or Kogan, as Wanta calls her. She obtained a position far above Wanta's comprehension that has full access to all of the plans and the agendas of her predecessor, and decided to reverse the course of history by using the system created by her predecessor. And since Mr. Wanta was so gracious to share Mr. Melville's phone number, a man he claims in his interview works for a government entity who intended to help him with the entire world, I will choose to share Mr. Wanta's phone number with all of you so you can all call him with your questions personally, and his number is 470-595-5711. 470 595 5711, or you can email him at vikinginternational.usa@gmail.com. Viking International, 6 kings. Oh my. Hope you like that, Mr. Wanta, so you can all bombard him. A message from Kim. Mr. Wanta, your associate, Miss K. Higgins, phoned Mr. Melville and asked him for release codes and claimed you were sitting there with Mr. Trump at the time. That was a complete and utter lie. You were not. You're just not. So please stop trying to make yourself out seem like you are actually doing something other than talking shit on the internet about something you know very little about. My response was, if you have an account number, I will grant access to the Department of Treasury, President Trump, or whomever you want to the off-ledger system. And if your name is anywhere on there, I will give you a release code and you can have what's in the fund. Sadly, no account exists. To Mr. Kennedy, who posted this article, you have zero facts to support what you wrote here, and you claim journalistic credit for this article. If you write one more article about Mr. Melville, the Manor World Holding Trust, or Kim Goguen, with no proof of anything you state, prepare for a lawsuit, and it will be heavy. As everything you wrote is hearsay from a cranky old man that was used by the deep state.
So now that I've played that audio file of Thomas, you can listen to it as many times as you want, but you can clearly see that he's mentioned Leo Wanta and Thomas Melville, and it seems to be like as if they had a breakup or of a fight, which is unusual really, because Thomas Melville has been for at least since 2007. It's been heavily linked with Leo on lots of occasions. And another bit of information I found from Tom Hennigan is this. Don't get me wrong. I mean, this website I'm going to it might not be legitimate, but he seems to have some sort of intelligence briefings and he's getting information from people. So I thought, okay, well, let's have a look. So let's open up one of the links. So this is his website. He seems to think he's in the know. People come to him. He's got sources. Have a read through it if you want to. If you want to click on his website, but I've put some of the snippets in this document. So treason against Wanta in the United States totally exposed. So let's do a little find. Melville. United States of America, it can be reported that duly elected, now inaugurated United States President Albert Gore Jr. Okay, so we'll skip some of this. Okay, so this is now in possession. Okay, so US Naval Intelligence is now in possession of an audio tape conversation which fingers Wanta protocol funds embezzler Thomas Melville actually admitting to Wanta that the US Treasury has to implement the protocols with Wanta at New Republic Corporation out of Vienna. Austria has the principal and returned the 27.5 trillion of Wanta Regan protocol funds due to US and French treasuries for the last 30 years. Wanta makes it clear to high treason, traitor and embezzler Melville that he is just trying to buy time to delay the implementation as to continue to benefit the Bush Clinton CIA crime cartel. Wanta then confronts Melville with the fact that he is now aware of Melville was in Citibank with Nazi German Daddy Bush Sheriff George Herbert Walker Bush Sheriff. At the time, Ambassador Wanta and Michael C. Cotterill had arrived to withdraw 4.5 trillion of Wanta's funds and return them to New Republic. Now, 5.4 trillion was what he's been putting on emails as well. So kind of like, he's been using these figures a lot. But, where is the money? It was none other than Melville and Daddy Bush that had Wanta and Cotterill removed from Citibank by the New York Police Department. Now, there's a little bit of a discrepancy here because I'm going to play you a audio file of Thomas Melville leaving a message on Ambassador Leo Wanta's phone.
Hey Lee, it's Tom Melville. Give me a call back. You've been a very, very busy boy. Just want to let you know that I can. I'm in position now that I can verify. I can authenticate and approve of the transfer that you tried to do with the Treasury and yourself tried to access in March. I can give the approval. I need to put you on the phone with somebody to grant that approval under condition. Obviously, there's not bad conditions, good conditions. But give me a call back. I need to speak to you. If you want my help, I can now grant that approval for the transfer. So give me a call. Thanks, Lee. Hope you're doing well.
Tom Melville has no authority to do that. Tom Melville was with me in New York with Cotterill, who was working for Delmarva Timber Trust, and Melville was working with Cotterill. We went down to the lobby because we wanted to see the big boys at Citibank because Paulson and the Bank of America admitted my funds were sent to Citibank without my consent or authority, but converted by Paulson and Greenspan and Congress and all these characters. So we were down there. We waited, and we did not know that Bush was upstairs with the Citibank boys.
Now, he's put a date, it's July the 28th, 2019, but then a little bit further down he said they left it on in 2018. So let's just look at it as 2018. So Thomas Melville supposedly represent himself from the US Treasury left a message in 2018 on Ambassador Lee Wanta's cell phone. Both Melville and Michael Cotterill were fired from the positions and employed in Lee's company called Amory Trust, have no part in or any claim to a dime of Ambassador Lee Wanta Reagan's funds privately owned by Wanta under the Totten Doctrine. So this is the bit where he's saying that when he gets his 4 trillion, they're not entitled to any. So this Melville's always itching around people that seem to have a trust. So he's been doing it around Leo, and now he's doing it around Kim. So this trust thing's been stuck with him for a long time. So both Cotterill and Melville are believed to be working in RICO with Bush family and CIA operated. Okay, so this is where the Delmarva Timber Trust and Argo Trust. Now, I've looked at some documents on these, and they have been pushing documents around, but then I've seen a lot from Kim with the Manor World Holding Trust. So, anyone can send documents, put stamps on, and say these are legitimate. It's very difficult, though, when it's a little bit different when you start going to countries and trying to show the countries that you've got the money, and that's what Kim was doing in Africa, which we'll show you in another episode. So, yeah, like I said, I've done the snippets in here. So if people don't want to go to those websites, then I don't blame you. And this is the other bit. Just basically showing what we've put at the top. So another little snippet we found, which I'll go to the website again. So it's basically saying that they've Michael C. Cottrell, this bit, some kind of a intel update, that the District of Columbia have now placed Bush Federal Reserve bagman Michael C. Cottrell and his associate Thomas Melville, Nazi German Dana Wilcox, U.S. Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin, and Trump son-in-law Jared Kushner under house arrest and are currently being held in the basement Department of Naval Intelligence and U.S. Marine Headquarters. We've heard all this before. Again, this guy, he's probably playing the game with Leo, but the fact is that the audio file I found, which I've played for you, is legitimate. You can tell it's Thomas Melville's voice, and he's mentioning Lee, so they are heavily connected. So let's say this guy here, Tom Hennigan, are all part of it and just putting rubbish out on the internet to try and make it legitimate, to leave a footprint on the internet to say, yeah, Leo Wanta, he's got all this money, just so that they can try and buy companies, try and cheat companies out of money. Maybe, I mean, Claire Sterling, she might be part of it if she's part of cabal thing. Who knows? But the main thing is that there's something fishy going on. Thomas Melville, who is now Kim's Life Force security advisor. We'll have to show you that. I'll show you that clip in another episode. Why is he getting mixed up with all these crooked people? This is the ambassador of the trust. This is her right-hand man, her new right-hand man, who's supposed to be the Whitehouse advisor. What is he advising her on? Why is this guy getting mixed up with all these crooked people? If you're high up as Kim, you do a little bit of research and you'd find these names all over the place. It's not very good. And it's the same with everyone she's been connected with. There's not one good, kind person that you could say, oh, they might be kind to their family and friends, but when it comes to money, they're vicious. Literally. And they gamble everything. So I'll leave the links in. I'll leave extra links in, which shows another side of it where people are backing Leo Wanta, saying he's legitimate. It's always two sides to a story, but the fact is Leo Wanta is either a trustee of some kind or he's a secret agent. Whichever it is, he's been getting into bed with some horrible people. And so has Thomas John Melville. And it all links back to Kim. Now, in our next episode of this, we'll start focusing a little bit more on her Kim side, where she's got direct connection with, well, one of them is the Kingdom of Mana, which is one of her first lies, where she believes that she is a nation and she knighted someone to run that nation, and it all links to a Mana World Holding Trust. It's comical, really, but so we'll leave it there on this one. But thank you for your patience. But please don't take my word for it. Please go and do some research. And if you've got any comments, or if you've got any other evidence that you'd like to share with us, then please do. We'll put links in there to our email address, but commenting on the YouTube is good because everyone gets to see it. So thank you very much, and we'll speak again soon. Bye-bye.